The following is a profound editorial just published in Arutz Sheva, Israel National News. David Rubin, former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. Republican candidate Donald Trump is controversial. He says a lot of things that upset a lot of people. During the campaign, he's made several strong and positive comments about Israel, as well as a few statements that show his lack of experience on issues that concern Israel. Hopefully, he will find the humility to learn and evolve on those issues. But on the challenge of Muslim immigration to America, he is right on target. The North American continent is now seeing the same trends of Muslim immigration and increasing Islamic terrorism that its European counterpart has been experiencing for years. The demographic threat isn't as obvious as in Europe, where large and hostile Muslim populations in major cities along with growing jihadist agitation have been increasingly serious challenges for some years now. The writing is on the wall for America as well. As Muslim immigration continues and the Muslim birth rate remains high, the terrorist threats increase, as do the calls for Sharia, the oppressive Islamic legal system that bans non-Islamic religious expression and allows wife-beating, polygamy, and forms of child abuse. Alongside the very high Muslim birth rate in the United States, the non-Muslim American birth rate remains very low as delayed marriage, same-sex marriage, and a creeping anti-nuclear family culture takes root. Do your basic arithmetic and see where it's going. The attacks on the World Trade Center in New York, the Fort Hood attack, the Boston bombing, and the San Bernardino attack are only the tip of the iceberg, or as I call it, the Islamic tsunami, that is rapidly making its way to American cities and towns across the land. That is, if nothing is done to stop it. And that is where candidate Trump is tapping into some very real concerns that many Americans are correctly feeling. No, this is not Islamophobia, some falsely defined irrational fear, or anxiety of a non-existent threat. It is, in fact, a very real fear of a very real threat. So why is it so hard for so many Americans to accept a policy of banning Muslim immigration? Even if craftily defined as a ban on immigration by those who would have spent significant time in Muslim-dominated countries, and or who have had any ties with terrorist groups, why do Americans have such a difficult time accepting restrictions on the immigration of Muslims? The United States was established on the basis of religious freedom. The founders left the establishment religious tyranny behind and created American freedom for all. And for that reason, Americans find it distasteful to limit the freedom of any religion. But Islam is not just another religion, with a tiny fringe group called Radical Islam. If that were the case, the free world wouldn't be under attack by a long list of Islamic terrorist armies around the world. The very core of Islam is based on jihad, which means holy war against what the Quran calls the unbelievers, specifically non-Muslims. Such a philosophy of intolerance is anti-American and anti-freedom, and if allowed to grow in the United States, it poses a serious threat to the very religious freedoms that Americans hold so dear. And that is why banning Muslim immigration to the United States is morally sound policy. Yes, full freedom is a noble ideal, but no free country has an obligation to self-destruct. To grant freedom to those who would use that freedom to undo the freedom of others makes no sense.